Just a heads up, due to the nature of this subreddit, some of the content might be upsetting for some viewers. Just a heads up, I will be discussing Supernatural, and this is extremely spoiler unfriendly. So if you don't want any Supernatural spoilers, then I suggest that you turn away now. Sup nerds, I'm CuppaJoey, and welcome to another episode of Hobby Drama. Today we're going to be having a look at the Supernatural fandom. The difference is this time the drama doesn't actually circle around the fandom, but more the alleged actions of one of the actors. Now, I'm going to be saying alleged throughout this just to cover myself, but when a lot of people come forward with very similar stories, I mean, the evidence speaks for itself. I know I've already put my disclaimer, but just a heads up, there is going to be some triggering material covered within this episode. So, before I get into the actual post, CuppaJoey, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Supernatural. Supernatural is a dark fantasy series that was first created in 2005 and is now in its 15th season. The series is about two brothers, Dean Winchester, who is played by Jensen Ackles, and Sam Winchester, who is played by Jared Padalecki. They're what's known as hunters, which means that they seek out and fight supernatural beings, monsters, demons, all of that jazz. In its 4th season, they introduced the character Castiel, played by Misha Collins, who quickly became a fan favourite and, well, one of the members of the biggest ships in the Supernatural fandom. When it comes to shipping, there are two ships that take centre stage in Supernatural fandom. The first, and definitely the most popular, is Destiel, which is a ship between Dean Winchester and Castiel. The second most popular ship is Wincest, which stands for Winchester... They're brothers. You get the drift. Whoa, hey, CuppaJoey, why are you telling us about all these weird ships? I just want to know about this creepy actor and what he did. Or allegedly did, I should say. I understand that this may seem irrelevant, but trust me, it'll help a little bit of understanding later on as to why it was so strange that certain part of the fandoms actually came together. There are 324, currently as of filming, episodes of Supernatural, so they've covered pretty much everything. They've fought pretty much every kind of monster and demon that you can think of. They've fought each other a lot, and even the devil himself. So, as a result of this, now that they're in their 15th season, there are a lot of actors that have come in and just played one part for one episode and then gone. Which, of course, for a series where they're travelling and fighting different things, that makes a lot of sense. They're going to meet different people. So we're not going to be looking at one of the main cast, but rather an actor that was in 4 episodes, and then, well, you'll see what he allegedly did. So, without any further ado, let's have a look at the Supernatural fandom and Travis Aaron Wade. For this episode, I would like to give a huge thank you to the Reddit user IDK New Account. This one is a really long episode because there is so much to cover, and that is mainly because they went through the work of actually writing up everything that has happened. If you would like to read the original story, as well as all of the evidence that they provided, a link is down in the description below. So a big thank you to them for making this possible. How one actor doxed and assaulted fans after 4 episodes on Supernatural. Once arose above the noise and confusion. Yeah, just so you know, every single section of this write-up starts off with a lyric from Carry On My Wayward Son, so I'm gonna be having a bit of fun with that. The Supernatural fandom is the quintessential dramatic fandom. It has everything. Hot guys, bad writing, sad fans, a cast and crew completely at odds with its fan base, potent ship wars, and endless potential for kinky fanfic. It popularized, if not invented, ABO fic. Yeah, they're to blame for that. I'm pretty sure that it popularized because I'm sure that I heard of like Omegaverse before that. This is like a little narrator's note, by the way. If none of you actually know what Omegaverse or ABO is, good luck Googling it. But you should probably make sure that you got a bit of a disposition for kink. Let's just put it that way. Now, after 15 years, Supernatural is ending, bearing in mind that this write-up was written before the whole Destiel thing that popped up recently. If you're familiar with Supernatural, you'll know what I'm banging on about. If not, I'm gonna explore that a little bit more later. I did a couple of write-ups, this is the OP speaking, as is Miyuke's, but there is much more to be said. So much more. If you are interested in hearing from any of these write-ups or anything else to do with supernatural drama, then do let me know in the comments, by the way. With the size of the supernatural fandom and the longevity of the show, it has become a planet with a gravitational drama pull onto itself. For some reason, recurring actors and friends of the show have just as much, if not more, drama as the regular cast. There was the time that Samantha Ferris, who plays Ellen Harvell, told Lindsay Lohan that she was super weak for taking time off after having a miscarriage. Narrator's note here, that is just so horrendous and completely unacceptable, especially when going through a miscarriage is a bereavement. There were the many times that S.E. Hinton, author of The Outsiders, got into a fight with the fans over fanfic. So here she starts off with, one of the things that gets on my nerves, people who think they can write a better Supernatural than the writers do. Try it, just freaking try it. Then you get, preach it woman, that being said, I think Supernatural has the best fanfic writers around. And then of course she has to respond with, could not handle it anyway. And then another little fandom defender comes in and says, I think that if they had the specs, it's totally possible. People are so talented and creative in fandom, which I think is true regardless of the fandom. S.E. Hinton goes on to say, not as much as they think they are. The response is, I guess that's a subjective judgment. I've read fic better than published novels with cases I'd love on screen, and I'm gonna say as a little fandom nerd, I have read a lot of fanfic that is actually a lot better than what the writers have actually put out there, so it's definitely possible. Then of course, the response is, if the fics are so good, they can be published. If they are not ripping off published works, be original. Yes, because we know exactly how a fanfic that became its own work ended up. Fic is about telling exciting stories about characters we love in original ways. AUs especially, that means alternate universes, which is kind of a world which is different. So say if you put those supernatural characters in Hogwarts, that's an AU. AUs especially can be very original. Then someone called Natalie comes in to say, would you tell that to really famous biblical fanfiction, Paradise Lost, to be original? Of course, S.E. Hinton is confused, so you get, and as I recall, you've publicly admitted to writing supernatural fic yourself, so you know the joy and purpose of it. She goes, yes, I never meant for it to be canon or an episode. To which, Jessica the fan replies, nor does any fic writer, but I think if some have formatting and resources, they could write great eps. And then, of course, S.E. Hinton at this point backtracks greatly, says, I'm not against fanfics of any kinds, I just don't think they are episodes in waiting. Well, if the show was on HBO, much more of the fic content might make it in. And we get a little disdainful, yeah, sure. Then, remember how Star Trek The Next Generation accepted and produced fan scripts? It can happen. Nat comes in with, don't put down fic as being unoriginal when many renowned works are essentially fanfic. Seriously, just off of the top of my head, the Witch King of Angmar being killed by Eowyn with the I am no man, that was actually fanfic of Macbeth, or rather Macduff and Lady Macbeth, because J.R.R. Tolkien read Macbeth and read the whole, no man of woman born can kill Macbeth and thought, woman's gonna kill him. And then when it was I'm actually a C-section, he was like, what? That's not a good twist at all. I'm gonna write in my own twist. So that's how that came about. Similarly, BBC's Sherlock and Elementary are both modern alternate universe versions of Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes. They're very popular, so do not put down fanfiction writing when that's how a lot of really good content, mainstream content, actually comes about. But anyway, you're not here to listen to me ramble about fanfic or how much I like it or how much writers don't like it. You're here to hear about an actor doxing, so let's move back on track. There is a time Jim Beaver... Just kidding, as far as I know, Jim Beaver is the only one who hasn't done anything yet. I also just absolutely love Jim Beaver for the pure fact that he is one of the few celebrities out there that is actually vocally for transgender rights, which we don't get that often. This was supposed to be a write-up of Mark Pellegrino and Travis Aaron Wade. But the Mark Pellegrino stuff was surprisingly hard to dig up again, and I wrote the Travis Arroway part first, and that was exhausting. Yeah, just a heads up, Mark Pellegrino, I used to follow him way back when I had like a frickin' fandom Twitter ages ago. Found out pretty damn quickly that he's a massive right-winger that hates people like me, so, you know, I unfollowed. Just to get a glimpse beyond this illusion. Don't say I didn't warn you. Travis Aaron Wade is a 45-year-old actor best known for playing Cole Trenton on season 10 of Supernatural. For those of you who don't follow the show, let me try to explain who Cole is. I dunno. He was in like 4 episodes long after I stopped watching. I assume he's a hunter who serves as a foil to Sam and or Dean. So I thought I would just quickly have a look at Cole Trenton on the Supernatural fandom Wikia page, just to give a little brief overview of who he is. Essentially, he is a hunter, correctly assumed OP, same as Sam and Dean. The little summary just says, Cole Trenton is a former US Marine seeking revenge on Dean Winchester and spent much of his life training and preparing himself in order to hunt down Dean. Cole's father, Edward, was killed many years ago by Dean, and he witnessed it as a young boy, so that's where the whole revenge thing comes in. According to the little wiki a bit about Cole's dad, apparently he was just a monster that was, you know, the species wasn't actually named, it was just, oh, he was a monster, so he was killed, and that's it. That's all the freaking information we're getting. So I think that pretty much sums everything up. He was an army kid whose father was killed by Dean for being a monster and therefore, you know, went to find him to get revenge. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. He was only in season 10. Let's see how many episodes he was in. Oh wait, it's 4. Of course it's 4. He was only in 4 episodes because that is the title of this write-up. I am so sorry. So yeah, very small story arc, only 4 episodes long. It's the kind of thing that you see in Supernatural quite a lot. Our story never high, yeah. Travis Aaron Wade was excited to join the Supernatural family and get some of that sweet CW and convention circuit money. What those guys do, Jared and Jensen, is they just create the vibe, and with Bob Singer at the helm plus production, that creates the family. They have a very unique and special bond and relationship over the years. I feel very lucky to be cast and added to the Supernatural family, because it is a family. They care. I'm glad you guys recognize that, because everybody, the production and the show, they've been the same way, and it's like a second family. It really is. Based on his posts, it seems like he expected the Misha/Castiel treatment, show up for a brief role on Supernatural as a reasonably attractive white guy, have some chemistry with the boys, instantly get a devoted fan base, and get promoted to main character. Cole's character did not get the same reception as Castiel, but on a show like Supernatural, even 4 episodes and a reasonable amount of attractiveness is enough to get an insta-fan base and be invited as a guest to a con. Some viewers became Travis Aaron Wade fans, calling themselves OTW, One True Waders, I don't frickin' know. Others thought he was miscast and bland, but he was generally regarded as an inoffensive potential addition to Supernatural. During the summer, he tweeted some bizarre viewpoints on his Twitter, including that he was against using medication to treat mental health issues. After getting into an argument with some fans, he claimed he was hacked. No one had any reason to be suspicious of his claims. Many expressed sympathy, even if they weren't a fan of his or Cole's. But do I? Then, in 2015 to 2016, a number of fans came out with his stories of inappropriate behaviour at cons. Unfortunately, an extensive post on the now defunct website Storify is gone. That was the primary source of many accusations that would have helped a lot with this post. And with my video, unfortunately, they seem to be gone to time. I remember when it first came out, and there was a lot. But there are so many accusations against him that I managed to find a handful. One post lists 23 separate accusers. One example, according to an "Oh no they didn't" write-up, a 16-year-old fan, Lexi, says he slipped his hand under the back of my shirt to rub my lower back during photo ops. and that he later called her and tried finding out things about me I wasn't comfortable talking about, and took a screenshot of a photo she posted on Snapchat and sent it back with her cleavage circled and the message, "Nice pic." When she ceased communicating with him, he continued to send her inappropriate messages. Other accusations include kissing a fan without her consent, inviting fans to his hotel room, and messaging even more underage fans after they told him their age. So the accusation that was posted by one of the alleged victims, I'm just using the word alleged to cover myself here. To give some context, she was volunteering at a convention, and it was only when other volunteers sort of came that he moved away from her. Before that, they were alone together. I was a little weirded out at the time by the attention, but shook it off and went back to watching the crowd. The next night, I believe before, the Saturday night special, and I don't know how I got roped into it, but Travis was leaving and gathering a big crowd at the main entrance, and I was helping another volunteer get him outside. Before he got in his car, he was repeatedly hugging us, and he said I was special and deserved to be treated as such. Then he invited me and the other volunteer back to his hotel room. It was creepy and weird. I'm not sure why I didn't say anything to Connie, she's such a mum to me. I think it's because I had so much to do Saturday with running around and helping the band and merch. But I know it left a sick feeling in my stomach and still does. It's something that's still crystal clear in my mind. I've never been around an actor that's behaved that way, especially in a fan environment. Hell, even hanging out outside of a convention, eating with actors last year in Atlanta during a convention, drinking, I've never seen talent behave untoward women like he has. There's really no good way to handle these accusations. Ignoring them doesn't really help, apologies don't make things right, and PR statements seem disingenuous. I guess you can make yourself the victim and send cease and desist letters? Masquerader as a man with a reason. Travis Aaron Wade has three main tactics: sending creepy/threatening DMs. So for this part about the DMs, I am just going to read the last part of the evidence that was given, as I feel like this is the main part that's relevant. On Saturday, I received a DM from him asking what I was doing that night. I had a third row center seating, so even if Jensen wouldn't have shown up, I was going to the concert. When I told him I was going to CLS, he ghosted me for the next several days. There was some stuff that happened that I'd rather not disclose, however later I found out he was drunk in the lobby playing Cards Against Humanity with people I know and trashing Creation to another friend of mine. I honestly didn't care because the events of Friday were still bothering me, but when I heard from him again, he told me to get a hold of him after I lost my weight. The comment pissed me off that I deleted the messages and blocked him out of anger. It took him a few months to realise and block me in return. Whatever, the man put his lips on mine without consent, he made gestures and comments to various women in the crowd that night, and since then he's never sat right with me. The second tactic was sicking his fans on naysayers. So I'm going to read the whole story that was linked out for this one because I think that it's all relevant. I'm really glad that so many people across fandom are coming forward about Travis Aaron Wade. His troubling behaviour has been going on for far too long, and sadly, I experienced it as well. In summary, after the hacking incident, I reached out to Travis Aaron Wade to express my thanks for doing an interview in which he answered questions about it. At first, the conversation was normal. However, over the course of the day, I started receiving a number of bizarre and upsetting DMs from him that made me uncomfortable. As a result, I blocked him to get the messages to stop. Little did I know that it wouldn't work. The next day, two mutuals of mine on Twitter contacted me because Travis Aaron Wade had DM'd them about me. Take note, I had him blocked, so he had to purposely search for people who I was mutuals with. He started bugging one of them to ask me for my phone number, to which I said no. Then he had another mutual ask me. I said no. Eventually, I told them to tell him that I was fine so it would stop. Once again, I thought it was over. It wasn't. During this first incident, I tweeted publicly about what was going on, but it would be the last time I ever did. About a week later, I unblocked him, hoping that he'd stop bothering my friends. Within 12 hours, the DMs from him started, so once again, I blocked. This apparently made him angry. He started DMing people I was mutuals with again, spreading lies about me, saying I asked him for money, which I never did, and encouraging people to cut all ties with me. Once they told me, I was upset but decided not to say anything specific publicly about what was going on. I was once again hoping it would stop. And it didn't. It got worse. Travis Aaron Wade found out where I worked and started messaging my bosses about me in an effort to get me fired. In addition, he accused me of being part of a bizarre conspiracy to get him off the con circuit, which I never was. His attempt was unsuccessful, but it scared me enough to keep me quiet for a long time. I had no idea he would go that far, but he did. And his third tactic was flat out doxing. Travis Aaron Wade, or one of his sick cultists, called my National Guard unit and gave them the site with my info on it and the picture they stole of me in uniform to try and get me in trouble with my command. I was letting the website drop, but now I'm contacting a lawyer and I'm probably going to sue. He also needed to track down personal information to send the cease and desist letters, since most of the accusations came via Twitter, where home addresses were not publicly available. So on this first one we have, "Hey guys, guess what? Travis found my address. Excuse me, hiring a lawyer now. Defamation hinges on my statements being untrue, Travis." And then the second one is somebody saying, "Hey, Travis Aaron Wade, I'm calling the police. Do not send anything else to my home." Then they go on to say, "I would ask how you got my home address, which is in no way attached to this name, but can guess." And there they attached a screenshot of some direct messages, some DMs, where he's clearly trying to get somebody to give away somebody's address. He has said yes, and they said, "I don't know this person and am unwilling to give her information." And then he responded with, "She is handling and documenting everything for me as my assistant/web designer. And she's worked with me for a year." So he's clearly trying to say, "Oh no, look, it's fine, you can give me this address. These are the reasons why it's acceptable." OP did then try and link a copy of the cease and desist letter. I can't open it, I'm not sure why. If anybody else can by going on the original story, then please do let me know. Still, no one has ceased or desisted. In fact, they started a hashtag #BlacklistTAW, and he was banned from cons. So here, OP linked us to somebody telling their story. It's quite long, so I'm just going to give you the part relating to conventions. In June 2015, Travis tweeted rather pointed comments about having fans banned from conventions for having negative opinions of him and his character. He'd tagged Misha in, he tagged J2 in, something of that nature. I don't remember being that invested besides shaking my head at the whole mess, because I'm generally rather ambivalent about Cole. However, my friends spent some time in public and private conversations with Travis explaining why that was a hot button issue with that side of the fandom, citing what happened to me at ChiCon. Suddenly, mid-conversation with my friends in DMs, he began speaking as if he was another person, a hacker who, haha, totally had them going. They were incredulous and posted screen caps of it, so the hacker posted Travis's phone number, which became part of the proof that it was a hacker, not himself. Mind you, J2M had all posted phone numbers by this time to burn the phones to engage the fans. This story goes on to talk about Travis being really inappropriate in DMs by pretending to be a hacker and just doing lots of like the kind of really shady stuff that you'll see on Catfish with Neva Max. Even at one point pretending he was at a funeral, so could talk, but it was inconvenient, which just seems really, really shady and emotionally manipulative. And then he goes into a phone conversation with the person that was writing this particular story. His claim is that Cliff had banned him from cons for an offhand remark he made at a convention. He went on to claim that Cliff banning him from cons, he wasn't scheduled for more that I was aware of, cost him the opportunity to buy his first house, and he was so frustrated that Cliff didn't just talk to him about it and explain what he did. And so, he would never get someone else banned from cons. The story pretty much just goes on to say that Travis was being awful to this person, trying to smear their reputation, and yes, of course, it ended with him trying to find out where they live, so it's all pretty keeping on brand so far. Even his fans were becoming alarmed by his behavior. I happen to have a very unique perspective of this situation. I once considered myself a Travis fan. I, unlike many of the people he has harassed, and yes, he has harassed people, have spent time with him and his followers. I consider many to be friends, some still are. I used to actually defend him. However, something started to feel off when a certain follower of his started talking about how they were searching accounts for anything negative written about him. I'm not talking tagged hate either. Not only are they stalking accounts, but DMing people as well, trying to convince people they're wrong and he's right. At this point, people don't just not like him, they are afraid of him. And okay, here's the thing. I was a fan of Travis from the beginning, before most people knew he was going to be in Supernatural. I thought he was a good guy. He was interactive with his fans and went out of his way to help people. There's no denying he did some good things. What is the issue is after his first episode aired, people started saying they didn't like his character. Not him, his character. He started calling out people in a Facebook post and had his supporters do the same. I'm ashamed to say I was one of those people. Anyway, everyone moved on from that, but word started to slowly leak that he did that, so people were now not fond of him and said as much. Instead of ignoring the haters, he tried to get everyone to like him, which just made matters worse. At this point, I was still a huge supporter. Eventually, the more serious accusations came to light, and though the OP didn't believe them at first, they became too numerous to ignore. She publicly posted that she didn't support him anymore. He privately messaged her and she blocked him, then his followers started messaging her. At this point, I have completely stated which side of the fence I fell on, and it wasn't his, so he decided it would be a good idea to call a friend of mine and have her pass the message on to me. That is both creepy and desperate, and this is just what he's done to me. Whether you decide to look at them or not, there are a lot of DM exchanges between him and countless people. And before you say it's some conspiracy and everything is faked, you should know that most of who this is happening to are from very different sides of the fandom, i.e. Destiel Wincest. Most have each other blocked.
Yeah, the fuck claimed to be a wise man.
So he tried a new tactic, framing fan favourite Misha Collins. A user named Tara Larson posted a collage of photographs with Misha posing inappropriately with fans during a convention. She tagged Rose McGowan, Alyssa Milano, USA Today, and Donald Trump. And in these tweets, Tara Larson says, I hope that the tagged see these photos and decide if this is acceptable behaviour of a 40-year-old man who's married with children towards women, paid photo op or not, hashtag disgusting. Then hashtag sexual misconduct, and hashtag licking a minor, hashtag not okay. But photo poses are requested by fans, and none of the fans in the photos came forward saying they were uncomfortable. So who was Tara Larson, and who was really behind this hit job? A deleted post accidentally named Travis Aaron Wade as connected to the account, so someone contacted his social media manager/assistant, Vicky Bartle. Vicky Bartle quickly cleared everything up. Tara Larson was not Travis Aaron Wade or someone impersonating him. It was just her, Travis Aaron Wade's assistant, trying to balance the scales of justice by accusing Misha of inappropriate sexual behaviour because no one else would. And then shortly after confessing it was her, she essentially justified it by saying the following. Believe me, we complained about hate and libel on social media and nothing got done. Ever. When you're a celebrity, in order to file libel or slander, you have to prove it's actually damaged you financially. They have different rules basically, which is unfair, but it happens, and ironically Exercising Emily pointed that out to us. So then the screenshotter responded with, oh wow, what do you think is going to happen to Misha if that gets out? Then Vicky said, I don't know, did they say publicly it's me? You know, even if he keeps doing photos like this, one thing is certain, he will have trouble getting work once Supernatural is over, and we all know it won't last forever. Supernatural isn't as big in Hollywood as most fans think. It's so funny because every excuse they give him is one they wouldn't let any of Travis fans get away with. But we know Misha, but he's done so much good, lol. Lol. Yeah, I've noticed. Lol, God forbid anyone does actually get hurt by the guy. They'd be too scared to come forward. Then after a small discussion about which parts of the fandom are actually attacking them, Vicky then says, but seriously, if he had hurt you, would you have the guts to go public in this fandom? I wouldn't. In addition to the sexual harassment allegations, he also accused Misha's charity of being a scam, posted vague blogs about Misha's career dissipating, and claimed Misha's fans were responsible for hacking his Twitter because Cole would have stolen time and attention away from Cass. Yep, that's right, he genuinely tried to claim that fans of one of the, or if not the most popular character within, like, a well-established fandom of 10 seasons were hacking his Twitter because they were worried that old 4-episode Marine Boy here was gonna take away attention from him. Absolutely beautiful. It surely means that I don't know. Anyway, this wouldn't be a Supernatural write-up without an absolutely bat-poo conspiracy theory going up. See, after all this, Travis Aaron Wade still had fans and followers, and once you stick with someone after all this, you are stuck with them. Only the staunchest devotees remain. So, a bi-bro, someone who likes both brothers equally, usually but not always accompanied by animosity towards Cass, theorized that this was all Misha's doing. They pointed out that all of Travis Aaron Wade's accusers were Misha fans. They theorized that Misha, Cass, and the Destiel ship were threatened by Cole and Travis Aaron Wade's popularity, so they made up accusations to get Cole written off. The conspiracy theory. 1 speculates that the Vicky Bartle confession was doctored to make Travis Aaron Wade and his team look bad. At the time when the account was started and active, it has probably been reported and removed now, Vicky and her daughter were, allegedly, both in surgery. Possible scenario is that one of the Destiel shippers set up the Tara Larson account to make Travis look like a bully and to make Misha look like a victim. Because why would Vicky do something like that and then confess to it like an idiot? And on social media, no less, even though monitoring social media is part of her job. Either that, or they doctored the screenshots. I think the Destiel shippers feel Travis was a competition for Misha. Just to make it clear, I use the phrase Destiel shippers so that people who aren't too familiar with Supernatural would know what they were on about. The phrase that the person used here is Hellas, which is like a derogatory term for people who like this ship. So it's basically people who don't like that ship, that's what they call the people that do. Number 2 alleges that one fan recanted her accusations at a con and another recanted their accusation online, but were threatened by Destiel shippers to recant their recantation. Number 3 takes out of context screenshots showing an accuser tweet a public apology to Travis Aaron Wade. 4 speculates that the network was eyeing a spin-off of Cole because he was so popular, which made Destiel fans particularly eager to take Travis Aaron Wade down. 4 does not account for the numerous unhinged messages sent by Travis Aaron Wade to many fans in his unhinged official Facebook posts. And 6 fears that the attacks on Travis Aaron Wade are just laying the groundwork for Misha fans to ruin Jared Padalecki's life. To quote, Travis's reality today might be Jared's reality tomorrow. They have accused him of racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, etc. Who's to say they don't take this route tomorrow? I mean, it hypothetically worked on Travis. It might work on Jared, especially since they hate Jared more than Travis. And Jared is a friendly, run across the road to meet the fans type of person. One big accusation and boom, it's over.
Carry on my wayward son.
Through it all, none of his co-stars came to his defense, and this clearly chafed him. So in this long rambling post from Travis Aaron Wade, he starts off with some sappy crap about, do you remember how I got a small part on this show and then suddenly I had loads of fans and it was amazing and then it just suddenly turned downhill. The part where he clearly shows disdain for his colleagues is when he says, it almost took my life. But what it did take away was my trust in those people who always told me they had my back or that we were part of some silly little 3-letter TV family. Family? I'm sorry, but family does drain your bank account for a hug picture and ink on a sheet. I think he either meant doesn't drain or does family drain because that didn't quite read right. Family doesn't claim mental illness, start a charity, and then take a large portion of that money to create an alcohol business. Connect the dots and people would be a little shocked at knowing what I knew. I just chose not to be complicit or take part in charade. Whereas before, he claimed to be close friends with all of them, especially Jared and Jensen, he later started crap-talking them, talking about Jared's deadly combination of depression and alcoholism. His favourite target remained Misha and Misha fans though.
Don't you cry no more.
There were a lot of things I didn't include, such as his Facebook posts and his crappy politics, and guess who he voted for? Things are pretty quiet now. He left Supernatural on bad terms, despite claims he was invited back for the 12th and 13th seasons. I don't think there's any whispers that he's coming back for the 15th, or that anyone is breaking down the door for Cole to come back. Before I go into my commentary, I just want to say that I did actually reach out to Travis Aronway to see if I could get any comments from him, but I am a tiny small-time YouTuber, so of course he didn't respond. As you can imagine, this episode has been a pretty difficult one for me to get through. Anything with allegations of that nature is always quite tricky. Now, I'm not going to patronize anybody listening to this by saying that I believe that the alleged actions by Travis Aaron Wade are wrong. I would like to think that everybody is on board in agreeing that doxing people, threatening them, or anything like that is completely unacceptable, if he did it. So I'm just going to move on and talk about the handling of the situation, and just my opinion in general. Now, first of all, I'm going to say that while I have been saying alleged and if, I do believe in this situation that those that are coming forward are being truthful. Again, of course, I cannot know 100% that they are, so that's why this is all alleged, and there is no concrete, say, videos of him doing something of this nature. However, I do think that when several people come forward talking about somebody's inappropriate behaviour and how uncomfortable it made them, then, I don't think that several people would be putting themselves out there, especially if they worked with him or volunteered at conventions. I don't think anybody would be putting themselves out there and putting themselves at such risk to accuse somebody of doing something that they didn't do, especially over a ship. Okay, so this whole conspiracy theory about this just being because the Destiel shippers wanted their ship to become canon, I don't know how anybody could think that. I understand that some fandom stans do go a little bit too far. Like, one of the things that annoyed me about the Hetalia fandom, which, if you haven't seen my video on the Hetalia fandom, please do. I spill a lot of tea on that one. But one of the things that I found quite frustrating and quite harmful about them is that they would try and make real life things happen based on their fictional world. So, for example, there is a running joke within Hetalia that Sealand, which is a tiny principality in the middle of the ocean, isn't a real country for obvious reasons, and how Sealand wants to become a country. Due to this running gag within the fandom, there have been petitions that have been created and signed by many Hetalia fans trying to get Sealand to be a recognized country by the United Nations. So, I am not saying that fandoms won't try and do things in real life that are absolutely ridiculous purely based on their fandom. I've seen it and it confuses the hell out of me, and I think most nerds. However, for so many people to not just sign a petition and then giggle and post about it on social media, for people to actually say, this has been very difficult for me, I've been waiting and I've decided to come forward and have all of these different stories, like several different people as well, coming out and saying he did this, he did that. And especially when it concerns underage fans and the fact that he knew that they were underage as well. I just can't see how anybody could do that as a ship. Like, just for a ship, sorry. I don't see why somebody would go through such emotional anguish, especially when he was doxing people, to see him doxing people for coming out and speaking out about abuse. Allegedly, Like, it's gonna take a lot of guts to come forward with these allegations, and so I don't think that somebody would do that if they were fake. I think that this could definitely become a problem when we have such access to idols, right? Because it seems like, and again, this is just my interpretation from what I read, there is a lot about Travis Aaron Wade that meant that he saw himself in the character. For example, he is also an ex-Marine. So it does seem that a lot of the, oh, well, he did this because he was stressed out from being a Marine. I should say, by the way, he wasn't a Marine, he was a Marine Reserve. So he has actually, I don't know if it counts as stolen valor, but one of the accusations was that he has been exaggerating his accomplishments in the military. So I think that he was definitely projecting a lot of himself into the character, and that is why so much offense was caused when people didn't like the character. And you know, of course, there are gonna be the odd freaking nerd who cannot separate the character from the actor. For example, there have been occasions where people have gone to Game of Thrones meetups and they have ignored Lena Headey just because she plays Cersei. Even though she seems like an absolutely lovely person, but just because the character is that bad, they find it difficult to separate it. She admittedly said that she quite likes it because it shows how effective she is as Cersei, so, you know, all the power to her for that. However, it seemed that for Travis, he seemed to be playing himself in a way, and I think that that was where he took it all too personally. I also do think that he was expecting a much bigger fandom than he got out of Supernatural, perhaps was a little bit disappointed that he wasn't one of the uwu soft yaoi boys after that. And I definitely think that there was a certain amount of bitterness towards Misha Collins, right? To not only accuse him of harassing fans, but to then say that it was him that was behind this whole thing in the first place. It just absolutely makes no sense. So when you look at the picture that Vicky posted saying Misha Collins is doing all these inappropriate things with fans, first of all, I have to say that the only news I've heard of Misha Collins has been 100% positive. If anybody came forward and said, this happened to me with my meetup with him and I wasn't comfortable with him, then absolutely that person should get a platform and should talk about it. But that's just not happened. None of the pictures that were pulled up were people saying, look what he did to me, I can't believe he just grabbed me and did this. It wasn't any of that. It was people coming forward and say, it would be funny if we pose like this, is that okay? And then he said, absolutely. And where they put the hashtag licking a minor, I mean, the face is blocked, so I could be completely wrong. But that looks like a full-grown woman to me. Like, it doesn't seem like somebody that could be less than in their 20s. However, if it's an adult saying, will you lick my arm for a photo because it'll be funny, and the other adult says yes, and then they do it, I mean, call me, you know, a wild, leftist, over-accepting person, but I really don't see anything wrong with that. When you have a look at Travis Arroway's Facebook, his public Facebook, you know, he's pretty much got very tinfoil hat conspiracy right-wing theory, kind of like, you know, John Voight's, you know, stern, I'm standing here today while he was sitting on a chair video that came out recently. If you just slowly scroll through his page, there are countless amounts of things where he's trying to claim voter fraud in the recent Biden-Trump election. So many things that are just, you know, this has been proven false, this has been proven false, this is fake information, still all coming out. Really simping for Donald Trump. It's pretty unsurprising. He posted this picture recently, and yeah, as you can see, he's just wearing the standard face shield, which, you know, during these times, it's smart to cover your face with something that'll protect you. Except the caption that he put for that is, if this is the world you'd like to live in, hashtag vote blue no matter who. If you want your freedom and liberties returned to you, hashtag vote red, hashtag walk away movement. So this is the kind of level of tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. He believes that, you know, the plague is made up to force you to cover your freaking face. He definitely seems like he's somebody that's kind of stuck emotionally in puberty. Like, only in 13-year-old kids' drama classes would somebody be insulted by someone else not liking the character that they play, you know? And also this weird kind of idea that he has about revenge, that anybody that doesn't like something or says, hey, I don't think that you were reasonable in doing that, he then starts to message, he then tries to find their friends, he then tries to find their address, allegedly. It's just really unhealthy stalking behavior for somebody to act that way towards their fans, or, you know, people that are fans of something that they've been in. Like, if you can't handle that kind of criticism, then you really shouldn't be an actor. Especially not an actor with such a huge freaking fan base like Supernatural. Something I only found out during 2013 and 2012 probably, in the whole Super Hulock times. Does anyone else remember Super Hulock? Oh boy. I was one of those people that got into Supernatural for the same reason that so many other people did, which was, I like Sherlock, I like Doctor Who. Oh, everybody's talking about Super Hulock, I better watch Supernatural as well so I can be in on that, and it didn't live up to my expectations, really. It's pretty good, but I only got up to like season 5 and I really wasn't that bothered after that. Another way that I believe that Travis Aaron Wade is just stuck in emotional puberty, right? And being completely unreasonable in the way that he acts is, like, first of all, catfishing. Whether or not he created the Tara Larson account or it was Vicky who created it, he was definitely involved, right? I mean, that is a completely unacceptable way to act. If he was involved, it's like, to need that kind of revenge, create a fake account, like, to make those kind of accusations against someone as well, like, that's freaking serious. And to say, oh, well, I would feel uncomfortable if he did something to me, like, well, yeah, I mean, you can say if all the time. If somebody did something to me like that who was, you know, a very famous actor, I would be too scared to come forward too. But that doesn't mean that they're doing it. So to say that about Misha, just to try and deflect from him when he was putting his hands up people's skirts without them asking to, like, that's just so many levels of wrong. Again, allegedly, right? Everything I say that he definitely did this or that, it is all allegedly, and this is just my opinion. Travis, if you're watching this, please don't dox me. But then to claim he was hacked? Like, I'm sorry, but that's just such a crap excuse. That is the crappiest excuse. That is the excuse, right? And I'm really sorry. But you know the people that, when you come across somebody that's not that smart and they're trying to lie to you, and it's like a clearly obvious lie, and you don't want to just say, I'm sorry, but that's so freaking ridiculous. You are obviously lying to me. Stop BSing. I got hacked is one of those lies, right? It's one of those, this is such an obvious way to try and cover myself, and it's clearly not true. Because who the hell would hack him just to make those weird freaking posts? If somebody's gonna hack you, they're going to be doing it to, you know, either gain some control or to do a lot of damage. It's one of the two. Overall, this has just been a really sad story. Like, I just feel very sad for all of the people that have come forward about this. I think another person that this can be compared to, again, everything here is alleged, so take it as alleged. But a more accurate comparison, I think, is Vic Mignogna. Now, if you don't know who Vic Mignogna is, it's because you're not a weeaboo. Vic Mignogna is one of the biggest voice actors when it comes to animes that are dubbed in English. And as a result, he has been at a lot of conventions where people can go up and then they can see the person who voiced Tamaki or Broly or Zero. You know, that he'll have a lot of underage fans because, well, I don't want to say that all weeaboos are underage. I do enjoy anime myself. That's why I was able to freaking name the characters that he voices. You know, even though I don't watch the dubs myself, I still know based on the fandom reaction, right? But anyway, there are lots of fans, a huge amount of whom are underage. And there have been cases of girls who are 15 or 16 saying that he has either touched them inappropriately while doing, a photo shoot. So, imagine that you go to meet someone that you are very excited to meet, that you are a fan. There is a power dynamic already there because this is somebody that you're a fan of. You have paid money just for the privilege of standing next to them and having a photo taken. And I know because I have done it myself. I have paid to have my picture taken with a fair few people of whom I am a fan at conventions. And imagine having all that excitement because you're young and you're going to see somebody who you've been reading about, who you're a fan of, and then when you finally get there, you feel their hand slide down and go somewhere it shouldn't. And then you are going around the rest of the convention, you leave the convention, and then you have it hanging over you that that's what happened. Again, this is all alleged, but there are so many stories of this that have come out. I find it hard to disbelieve. Overall, my reaction to this is, Travis, if you are going to be famous, then you are going to have to accept that some people aren't going to like you and they're going to be vocal about that. Heck, I've had people say all sorts of mean stuff about my voice that have listened to my channel and been like, ugh, you sound like Squidward. And I'm like, yeah, no, So, you just gotta take it on the chin, mate. Not then try and dox and threaten and harass and get in contact with the people, like, stalk and harass and obsess over people that don't like the character. I mean, that's just so unacceptable. And that is, not even taking into account the allegations of sexual misconduct that came up. That's not even looking into those. Like, even if that hadn't happened, his behavior has been completely unacceptable. If he has done just the doxing part, of course, I need to say that everything's alleged about a million freaking times already. But, and I have to say, when you see all of, like, the kind of conspiracy theory, real, hot-blooded anger over Trump and all of these things that just aren't happening, I feel like just this whole situation has revealed so much in terms of this person's mindset. If you have got this far, then thank you very much. I don't really think that there's that much more that I can say regarding my opinion without either just reiterating what I've already said or making conclusions that are kind of clear. I've said I don't want to say, right, this is why trying to find somebody's work and threatening them is over liking a character is wrong, folks. I'm not gonna freaking tell you that. I'm just gonna assume that we all understand why that's ethically wrong, and I'm not gonna go into that anymore. So, thank you very much for listening. If you got this far, this has been a real difficult one for me to do. This has required quite a lot of research, quite a lot of looking into things that I wasn't really comfortable looking into, but I felt that this was something that should be covered nonetheless, so I really do hope that everybody appreciates the effort that's gone into this, because it's been a fair bit. And again, thank you so much to Reddit user I don't know new account, or IDK new account rather. They were the one that did this painstaking write-up, so a lot of the emotional labour and effort goes to them, so I want to give another huge thank you to them for making this possible. Well, that's it for this episode of Hobby Drama. I would like to know how people are finding the drama videos. Are there more drama things that you would like me to cover? Would you like to see Supernatural again, or is there any other fandom that you think has had something that's worth covering? Do let me know, I am interested. And as I say at the end of every episode, if you enjoyed hearing from this subreddit or would like to hear from any other subreddit, or you would like me to cover any other kind of weird story, then do let me know in the comments. I do also have some polls that are available on my Patreon. So if you'd like access to some extra content as well as getting credits on my video, then you might want to check out the tiers there. If not, just listening to my videos and being a subscriber helps me so much, so thank you so much for sticking with me and for sticking with this episode. And until then, I'll see you all next time.